Queenie looked at me, still sneering. How about you? She asked, looking me up and down. Never even kissed a girl. Like you're the only girl on the planet. I don't date little goblin ghouls, okay? Well, that's not true. I dated a little goblin ghoul in high school, but she's kind of cute in a ghoulish goblin kind of way. And...
Ew, I like them. I like goblins. Ah!
Hello, friends. Trace amounts of science. Still feeling a little under the weather, so I'm going to do something that's not going to get me too stressed out today. Our good friend Roaming Rivers returns. He's written many past stories for the channel, but there's a new one on the horizon, I suppose. And as most of the others, it's just a one-off, which I think is good. The title's also captivating, so let's get into it and we'll see how it goes. Queenie the Legbeard hears no for the first time. Yeah, there's lots of women out there that don't handle that very well. That's how we get r/nice girls videos, you know? Just like nobody's ever told them that before. It's hilarious. Hello, ReddX and community of friends. Hi, Roaming Rivers. Welcome back. Took me quite a bit of time to write, though I finally managed to get that story of a Legbeard and her squad of simps written out. See, that's the whole problem right there. It's not the Legbeard herself, but the squad of simps that's behind her gassing her up for no fucking reason. There we have it, mystery solved. If you stop simping, everything will fix itself, ladies and gentlemen, mostly gentlemen. Just a heads up, as you all know, I'm far from a saint and I do engage in some questionable behaviors in this tale, as we all do from time to time. Wanted to be upfront and honest, and I'm still a deeply flawed man who probably doesn't pay his weekly therapist more than enough. Damn, you make it sound like you got a bunch of demons riding back there, when really it's probably regular shit. Like, I knew I should have taken the trash out and I didn't. Why wouldn't I do that? Although for a lot of therapists, that's probably way more meandering and boring than like, hey, I'm having ideations. I'm sorry, I'm getting off in the weeds already. What were we talking about? I've come to accept that this tale may be my downfall in the eyes of the community, and I am ready to be judged. Dude, wow. What the fuck happened? So without further ado, let's get inside the armored beard safari train, and for the love of all that is holy, keep your redacted hands inside the redacted train, because I can't afford another god-redacted lawsuit. Don't worry, Roaming Rivers, I've got this. I've been informed by our inside sources that if you ever receive a summons or a lawsuit, you just shove it under the mattress and forget about it, and basically that makes it all go away. Like, you just keep every time you get one, just shove it under the mattress. It's like magic. As always, names, locations, details, etc. have been kept as vague as possible for all parties involved. There also might be a few parts where I could belong on the subreddit r/IamVeryBadass, so feel free to roast me wherever you feel fit. Oh, I will. I write to entertain, educate, as well as expel my many demons. Triple E therapy. That's good. You should patent that. We could bottle it up. Sell it to the masses. What do you say? So now for the all too famous trigger warnings. Which, yes, they are here on the screen now if you'd like to read them, but I'm not going to say them out loud because YouTube's going to smack me in the mouth over it. It's simply not worth it at this point. Suffice to say, many nasty things and many people who probably need some intense therapy in a lockdown ward, complete with some straitjackets. I mean, I'm willing to go. They got meds, the good stuff. You sign me up. And of course, our cast list, OP Roaming Rivers, the demented rogue whose brain is riddled with autism, PTSD, the influences of several questionable role models over the year, as well as questionable sanity at times. Recovered skinhead, recovered beard, recovering alcoholic, recovering addict, trying to be a normal part of society as he makes a second attempt at college. You can do it! An important note. I've always acted very masculine for most of my life, and now that I felt comfortable with being bi, I allowed myself to act more effeminate, taking influence from Freddie Mercury in this new environment, trying to figure myself out with this new feeling of freedom. I don't think you even need to play with dong to act effeminate. I act effeminate sometimes, and I think they're gross. Anyway, here's Evan. He's an evangelical kid who was part of OP's friend group at school. Surprisingly enough, he was not an antagonist in this tale, as we did become friends, and is someone who I grew to consider a good college friend by the time he graduated. He had chosen to remain celibate until he was married, which is relevant in this tale. Honestly, based, Evan. He's like, I don't give a fuck. People think what they think. This is my choice. And an especially hard choice to make in these days and times, let me tell you. Farmer, who is no relation to Farmer from the Socio-Beard tale, is a sweet girl from the American South who was also part of that friend group that I rolled with for about 2 semesters. Grew up on a dairy farm and was a walking library on the practice. She was third cousins with Evan, and being good friends, they hung out in the same friend group. We also enjoyed giving each other outfit advice, be that for school events, dates, or just shopping on Amazon. She did teach me a few things about grooming my hair properly, I'll admit. She was the college friend who I went to for advice on dealing with that nightmare of a date called Slimy, and yeah, we're still friends to this day. She was the one that actually encouraged me to start writing down my various life stories, so y'all have her to thank for pushing Roaming Rivers to tell his tales. Yeah, Farmer pretty base too, honestly. Is that genetic in that family? What's going on over there? Some in the water? Very cool, and I'm glad they were a good friend to you. But now, for the rancor of the show. You know rancor, before it was a Star Wars thing, meant like frothing anger? Okay, whatever. This is Queenie, a very angry girl in her mid-20s, and yes, she is the Legbeard in question. I won't go into too much detail about her here, as many of the events in the tale revolved around her Legbeard traits. Appearance-wise, she was short, with a gaunt-looking face, dotted with acne, thick glasses, and she walked like a Teletubby for some reason, like an aggressive form of waddling. Oh God, it's coming right for us!
My God, it's coming right for us!
My theory here is that, yeah, she's just so short that she waddles, which I have seen before. You get a girl that's like 4'6", and I think it's just the center of gravity or something. Can't say trace about the size. We haven't done the research on it, but it's a working theory. Anyway, Queenie had greasy, heavily conditioned hair, and her only 2 facial expressions were resting bitch face and psychotic rage. Yeah, sounds lovely. Looking back on it, I do think she was mentally ill, and I did not help the situation when it came to the various ways that I chose to deal with her outbursts when they were thrown in my direction. Yeah, probably she deserved it though. It's not up to me to fix it. I offer you the feedback I've been programmed to deliver. There was also, of course, the squad of simps, a gaggle of young men who were at her beck and call at all times. I don't say this to be mean, though it was creepy, the way that they obeyed her. Yeah, maybe Queenie was giving out favors or something. Be it holding soda cups for her, getting food for her, doing her homework, even allowing themselves to be her footstools when she was watching TV. Oh, see, that's just like a degradation thing. Some people are into it. Looking back on it, yeah, it felt very cultish, the influence that she had over them. I'll admit, I cringe using the term squad of simps, as it does have an icky incel feel to it, though it's the best description that I could come up with. I mean, if you want to be for real, simp came from the black community long before it was co-opted by the incel community. But we're not here to get into the etymology, the philology of all that. It's fine. Squad of Simps is absolutely applicable and absolutely despicable. Don't you ever do it! A lot of dudes out there are gonna do it, or have done it, but yeah, we gotta learn those lessons the hardest way. I'm sorry in advance. 2 relevant members of the Simp Squad are Prime Footstool, a short guy who was often her messenger, like the voice of Sauron, and Tall One, a tall, very quiet fellow who Queenie would often use to threaten people with. Fuck that, I could take him. Now with the intros out of the way, let's dive into the tale. I'll be sticking to the numbers format, though this does have a better chronological order when compared to my prior horror stories. I like the numbered format, much room for me to interject, and the fact that it's chronological, well, that's just a cherry on top. Now I can follow the events as they unfold. Imagine it. 1. The first encounter. This took place shortly after I cut ties with Slimy, after which I began hanging out with Farmer more often due to her helping me out through that tough time. It was around this time that I met Evan and a few other of her friends. I honestly clicked pretty easy with many folks as they enjoyed my stories and I enjoyed getting to know them. However, it was on day 3, when we were discussing dating history around that quad table, that Queenie entered the picture. She walked right up to the table and plopped herself down, looking around at us all. "So, what are y'all talking about? More stupid stories?" she asked in a snide tone. There was a nervous chuckle from a few others, as Farmer and Evan kept quiet, looking at each other, as if walking on eggshells. Nah, you need to bust that up right now. Like, is that how you sit down and start a conversation? Nobody's stories are stupider than yours. How about that? Evan piped up. "Well, I'm seeing someone, though we're both waiting until marriage." He held up a hand to reveal a silver purity ring. Mickey Mouse would be so happy. Is Evan one of the Jonas Brothers?
You don't fucking talk to me like that!
Queenie stuck her nose up at this, exclaiming, "Well, you're missing out, loser." I mean, let's really brain this one out. Who's the actual loser here? The one that stood against societal pressure to not do the thing that humans have done for millennia? Or the one who gave into hedonism and did the thing that people have done for millennia regardless? Like, that's the one big achievement in your life, is that, oh, you got your pee-pee a little wet. Okay, cool. Awesome. Good for you. Thanks for sharing. I don't care. Develop a personality aside from vagina haver. Okay, can we do that? Opie says, "I spoke in my regular voice. I commend you for that, Evan. I don't have that level of restraint. I'll admit that much. See, there you go." I joked as Evan let out a chuckle and a look of nervousness. No, seriously, let's lay it all out on the table. I am team premarital, like you... You want to know what you're getting into, but for the people that really stick to their guns, it is worthy of commendation. It's impressive to me. Farmer let out an ooh, as if approving in a teasing manner. Queenie looked at me, still sneering. "How about you?" she asked, looking me up and down. "Never even kissed a girl." Like you're the only girl on the planet. I don't date little goblin ghouls, okay? Well, that's not true. I dated a little goblin ghoul in high school, but she's kind of cute in a ghoulish goblin kind of way. And
Ew, I like them. I like goblins. Ah!
being someone who still likes to mess with people who think that they are holier than thou, I smiled and said in a Freddie Mercury voice, "Well, I'm lucky enough to swing both ways, darling. Gives me more options for fun in the dating game. Hardly gets boring." Yeah, dude, I bet I bang more guys than you, and I mostly just date women, so... Her reaction came out of nowhere, as her eyes went wide with rage as she tried to suck up all the air in the area through her front teeth. She got up from her seat and yelled, "You're disgusting, and I hope you get AIDS," before storming off. Well, I hope you get AIDS too. ReddX brand Super AIDS, that is.
He's got AIDS.
Available soon in a convenient necklace format. Yes, indeed. Look at that. For 3 measly payments of $4.99, you can have your own vial of ReddX brand Super 8s at your disposal. You don't have to hope for anything. Break the vial open and splash it in their eyes. Actually, don't do that. Probably it's Dawn dish soap or something in there. But truly, if you would like to buy a necklace, I'm thinking about making them. So let me know in the comments. Just leave a 1 in the comments. No, count the ones. Make that many necklaces. Maybe we gotta take some pre-orders. I don't know. But I do know that I need to bring Super 8s into reality. That'll fix this timeline. The group around the table was awkwardly silent for a few moments before one of the girls in the group broke the silence. Yeah, she can be difficult to deal with. And the conversations smoothly resumed. Well, at least that interaction's short but sweet. You know you're not wanted here. You just have your little outburst, be the center of attention. Okay, good. We all looked at you, gave you the love that Daddy never did. Now our day can move forward amicably, right? Second story, first battles. Oh, that was just like the warm-up. The pre-game. We're drinking vodka in the parking lot. I moved from that first encounter pretty quickly, as I've been called much worse over the course of my life. Not to mention, her storming off like that felt like a victory on my part. Totally was. Though I was wrong, as the conflicts with Queenie were just beginning. You see, when I do homework, I like to do it in a public area. It stops me from isolating and mentally guilts me from slacking off on my work or getting distracted with video games. I wish I could record in a public area. Do you know how difficult it is to resist the call of video games when you're sitting in front of the box that's filled with all the video games?
No, you gotta sit and read the Reddit story first.
So I do it. It takes discipline. It's making me strong. So there I was, typing away at my laptop on a rainy fall morning when Queenie walks into the common area with the guys that I would later know as her squad of simps. From the corner of my eye, I could see her passing out papers to them and thought nothing of it. She saw me sitting at a table near a window and walked up to me. As I was typing away at a history paper, she slammed the folder onto my hands and keyboards. Annoyed, I picked it up and asked, "What is this?" with a flat tone in my voice. "I need that paper done by tomorrow, so get to it," she demanded. "And why would I do your homework for you?" I asked, flat tone again. "Just do it!" she yelled like a child. I handed the folder back to her. "No, I don't think I will."
You have no power here.
She slammed it down on my keyboard again. "Do it!" she shrieked. Does this usually work for you? How does this usually work for you? Are you an only child? I have a lot of questions. Fed up with her and wanting to get back to my own work, I picked up the folder and with a flick of my wrist, tossed it out the open window into the rain with a sassy smile on my face. I too enjoy being a bit sassy sometimes. She let out a shriek as several of her simps ran outside, coming back a minute later, soaking wet and holding the wet folder. She turned back to me, yelling about how I owed her a new folder and I had to print out the assignment for her. Now annoyed, I firmly stated, "If you refuse to do your own work, then you deserve to fail. Stop bothering me." And I returned to my history paper, ignoring her continued protests. "That's right, can't hear you no more. I'm listening to Johnny Hobo and the Freight Train."
Here's to our lives being meaningless, and how beautiful it is, because freedom doesn't have a purpose.
It was then that Queenie stormed out of the lounge area. That is like a really convenient way of dealing with problems, you know? She just leaves. I love that. Can you never stop doing that? One of her simps, who I would come to know as the Prime Footstool, sheepishly approached me a few minutes later and said, "You know, Opia, that wasn't very cool. Queenie has a lot of stress on her mind with all the schoolwork she has to do. She isn't used to all this schoolwork." Then she deserves to fail. What are you not understanding? I told him in a stern/threatening tone that she is not my concern. I'm here to get my degree and leave. I don't have time to deal with her or anyone else's bullshit. He tried to protest, at which I just wordlessly snarled at him until he left my presence. "Ah, yeah, yeah!" That's how I deal with it, too. My wife's like, "Honey, could you do the lot?" "Nah, Some people think they need to work on communication skills. Really, you need to work on your snarling skills. All right, part 3, drama with the Simp Squad. I'm sure they'd love to eat each other alive, but instead they focus their vitriol at you. So a week after tossing that folder out into the rain, Queenie's squad of simps was well established. Wherever she went, they followed her around. Be that getting her food in the cafeteria, carrying her books, even acting as footstools for her when she was watching TV in the lounge area. I'm telling you, that is a fetish of some sort. I can't even really sign off on you guys doing that type of shit in a public place. Go somewhere else. Stop making yourself a spectacle. I'm sorry your dad didn't hug you. It's not my fault. Get the fuck out of here! Queenie actively despised all other women in the dorm building, regularly insulting them with all sorts of nasty words. When I was hanging out with Farmer and the girls, it was a frequent topic to discuss Queenie's outbursts, to much laughter, of course. And she also physically and emotionally maltreated these guys, kicking and punching them on a regular basis. Some laughed at this, while others pleaded for her to stop. Looking back on it, I regret not sticking up for them, though don't give me any credit just yet. Credit for what? Wanted to stick up for those guys with the benefit of hindsight? Nah, nobody gets credit for that. That's normal, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, given my conflicts early on with her, me and the Simps were not on good terms. That's alright, I could take them. 2 softer incidents come to mind with them early on, as well as a third, more hostile confrontation. Queenie had a nasty habit of taking from other people's plates, be they men or women. Most people put up with this. I did not. First, I told her not to touch my food. When that didn't work, I sat at a different table, as did my friends. When she began getting up to take food from other tables, I developed a nasty habit of sneezing on my food as I was walking up to the table to sit with my friends. Yeah, that'll do it, I guess. Me personally, I just eat like a lifer in prison with my arms around my plate, you know? Got a knife and a fork in your hand right there. It's called defensive eating, and it's a very valuable skill. And this did work for a while, the sneezing thing, though the one time she tested her luck, she took a fry with one of my boogers on it. Well, that's just fate. That's fortune falling in your favor. It's good alliteration, too. When I mentioned this after she began chewing it, she spat it onto her plate in disgust and began chugging another girl's soda, yelling at how disgusting I was. I don't understand what's wrong with that. I can season my food how I like. Just because it's not how you like it doesn't mean you have to take it out on me. That's ridiculous. Maybe you're disgusting for not enjoying the culture of the booger people. You like salt, I like boogers. She never did take my food again, though her Simps tried to confront me about how I was being mean to her. Yeah, that's the fucking point, idiot. I made it clear that I could do much, much worse than sneeze on some food, and they backed off. When I was sitting in an armchair next to a couch, Queenie came in and took her shoes off and rested her feet on my arm's rest as she lay on the couch. Ugh, you nasty bitch. What is this? I'm gonna burn her feet with a cigarette. That's what I'm gonna do. I asked her to please put her feet down, and when she ignored me, I left the armchair and sat somewhere else. Yeah, you should have thought about burning her with a cigarette, though. A few days later, I sat in that same armchair and put my own feet up. She walked in, saw me doing this, and stormed out of the lounge in a huff. What does this have your name on it? What? The prime footstool and another simp came in and tried to lecture me about taking up space and not sitting in a chair properly. I ignored them until they left, too entranced in my Stephen King book. I mean, which Stephen King book, because I will judge you based on that. There's some weird shit in there. And the Simps don't even seem like that terrible or threatening. They basically just come in there and talk to you. But I guess, third time's the charm. This is the hostile encounter we're getting into now. This all came to a head with a third not-so-pleasant encounter that same week, which definitely caused a greater escalation. When I was coming back from class one morning, Queenie and her Simps were in the dorm hallway with no one else around. As I was going to my room, she approached me with her Simps in tow and said, "It would be so easy for me to get your room key from the RA and have my friends come into your room when you're asleep and castrate you. You fucking," nasty word that starts with the letter F, a gamer word. I turned to confront her, looking her in the eyes with a smile across my face, saying in my knockoff Freddie Mercury voice, if a gentleman or gentlemen's come into my room in the middle of the night with ill intentions, I'll have to assume that they want to get blasted in the ass. I haven't had a good slab of man meat in quite some time. I looked at the tall one. "Careful, you might not sit down comfortably for a week if you mess with me, big boy," I threatened in a teasing manner. I looked at Prime Footstool and threatened in a deeper, more masculine voice, "Have you ever had a man make love to you?" Do you like movies about gladiators?
Joey, do you ever hang around the gymnasium?
Have you ever seen a grown man naked? This definitely would make me uncomfortable in the moment, but in retrospect, yeah, it's pretty hilarious. The simps dispersed pretty quickly, almost like cockroaches, leaving just her and me in the hallway. In that Freddie Mercury voice, I stated that there's only room for one hysterical queen in this dorm, darling, before casually going into my room and closing the door. Yeah, don't challenge me for the crown. I'll snatch your fucking wig off. Yeah, there we go, turning up the heat. She threatened to cut my twig and two berries off, so I threatened to assault all of her friends up the butt. What? What's wrong with that? Yeah, that is turning up the heat, I suppose. After a few moments, I heard her slamming her fists on the door and ripping the paper name tags off before, guess what? Storming away. Good riddance. Looking back on it, I should have reported this incident, though I was under the impression that I had handled the situation for good. Boy, was I wrong. You're gonna have to blast these dudes in the ass, aren't you? That's how all this is happening. We're gonna have a Pulp Fiction scene from the basement of the pawn shop pretty shortly. Part number 4, the laundry incident. You see, Queenie had a nasty habit of taking up all 4 washers and dryers when she did her laundry. Dude, what the fuck? No. This is at college, right? I can't wait for her to get out of college. I can't wait for the real world to smack her in the fucking mouth. Queenie would then leave her sheets and clothes in the washers and or dryers for hours on end, even if she was just in her room. There were even a few times where she would leave it in there overnight. I don't know, maybe she's doing it to piss people off. I think she legitimately forgot about it, but if that's the case, then don't mind that I put it in a fucking basket and left it in the corner. You don't care? I don't care. See how that works? When asked by others to please move her laundry, she would yell at them about how they had to wait, and she would do it when she had time, and then she would just leave it there for hours on end. No, you don't understand. I'm not asking. I'm informing you that I'm gonna put this shit on the floor. Come get it if you want. Most people just put up with this. OP says I did not. Nor should you. This is how people learn. You don't enable this behavior. OP says, you see, I'm a busy guy, and I don't really have time to wait on people. That's right, I'm a busy guy. I take busy poops. Sometimes inside the washing machine. So what? What's the big deal? I will admit that this was a cringy thing for me to do. I moved her laundry out of the dryers so I could do my own. I left her laundry on a nearby counter, holding it at arm's length due to my disgust at it, even though it was clean. I got away with this for about a week before she started to put the pieces together and confronted me, as well as complaining to the RA. How do you not realize you're the problem in this situation? Why is this at all cringe? I'd say she's lucky that OP put it on a counter, because the first time it goes on the floor, the next time it goes in the trash. Maybe it's a bit of an escalation, but I guarantee you'll break before I do. And it's easy for me to put your clothes in the trash, I don't care. OP says I was called into the RA's office, a man and a woman, and was accused of violating boundaries and making Queenie feel unsafe. What the fuck is this horse shit? No, people need to use the washers and dryers, okay? I brought up to them that it's not my job to wait on her hand and foot, and that I'm a busy guy and I have limited hours in the day.
Get out of the way, I gotta take a poop in a hurry.
I'm a busy man, I take busy poops, look at me.
I also brought up her own lack of respect for boundaries, the name-calling, homophobic comments, how she had an issue with me seemingly since day one. They looked at each other and said that Queenie's aunt was a well-respected alumni who donated a lot of money to the school and that we, quote, all just had to put up with her. Ah, now the pieces truly fall into place, huh? Honestly, I probably should have guessed at it earlier. Something fishy was going on this whole time. But I thought it was just the Simp Squad. Nah, the whole school's in on it. So it was at about this time that I let the mask slip and addressed the RAs in a threatening tone, managing to roll a successful intimidation check. Cue malicious southern accent. You know, This little college you got here is a real nice place. It'd be a real shame that y'all allow nepotism to run rampant. You see, I crawled my way out of hell. I begged in the streets. I sold my fine ass on the streets for grocery money. I seen things that you two college types wouldn't believe. Seen Richie Rich boys sell their butts for some crack. Seen hard men break and cry for their mamas. Hurt people to make a point, and even been hurt myself by some bad people. Going to college is the pinnacle of me turning my life around, and I intend to live a peaceful life for the rest of my days, letting my demons sleep for eternity. I got no beef with anybody, though I don't mind making examples out of folks if push comes to shove, 'cause going back in the cage, it's nothing but time. Time to plan, to learn, hold a grudge.
Most important thing in your life is going to be booty.
Y'all better listen to me.
A man's butt.
So we can keep the peace here, or we could have problems. And that's your call. That's a good speech. Honestly, if all that came off the cuff, you're quite a wordsmith. Which we know from the stories, but we also know from the stories that I don't have any tact. They'd tell me all of this and I'd be like, I'll sue you! Okay, cool. Probably would have gone better if we were more eloquent, but well, you play with the cards you're dealt, you know? I think this is the part where OP was like, yeah, it's sort of r/I am very badass, but it was kind of badass though. It's a good speech. Okay, I'll give you that. You might call me sick, but the fear in their eyes was delightful to witness. You be careful with that rush of power. That's the same thing that turns Karens into Karens, okay? We're messing with powerful magics now. They said that they would speak to Queenie and asked for me to focus on getting my degree. After this, Queenie kept far away from me for the rest of the semester, all the way up until holiday break. When Farmer and Evan got wind of this, Farmer thought this was hilarious, while Evan looked incredibly concerned at how I handled the situation. Queenie also stopped hogging up the laundry machines. See, you made life better for everybody. And nobody even knows that you did it. That's what a real hero does. You're welcome for the washers and dryers. You're welcome. On a side note, around this time, I heard that there was an incident where she used a nasty word that starts with N towards an African-American campus visitor and got upset when that woman slapped her in the face so hard that her glasses broke. I mean, what'd you expect to happen? And she's like, oh, the RA will protect me. The RA is like, nah, NAACP is going to crawl up in my ass. Well, we're going to have to let you take the L on this one, Queenie. Though she demanded it, the RAs refused to do any investigation on Queenie's behalf. See? Exactly. You're going to have to get Jesse Jackson in here and apologize. That's right. Apologize.
Apologize. Kiss it.
And part number 5, the truce is broken. Good, let's get it all out there. Let's lay it down real flat, okay? After coming back from winter break, Queenie started up with her grudge against me. It started with trying to slam doors in my face, which I casually stopped with my foot and/or forearms, laughing at her. It escalated into her trying to physically hit me. Being someone who knows some basic self-defense, I casually blocked and dodged all of her attacks, laughing the whole time. That is really funny, though. You are sort of escalating the situation a little bit, but it's legitimately funny. One time I got in a fight with an ex-girlfriend, and like we're driving down the road real fast or whatever. We got out of the car to have a fight, put my keys in my pocket, and she goes to like take a swing on me, and I basically took a step back out of her reach, and I laughed in her face. And I was like, you want to try it again? And she said, I'm gonna steal your car. And she hopped in, and I already had the keys in my pocket, so I laughed even harder, like doubled over type of laughter. And you think that your anger will allow you to control the situation, but no, staying aloof, calm, in control, that's the way to go. We don't have to laugh, though. More aloof is better. She never did manage to land a hit on me, and even screamed in frustration to let her hit me, eventually giving up after I blocked a crotch shot with a textbook, causing her to hurt her shin. That's all it takes to shut her down? Somebody bring that black lady back in here. I want to smack Queenie around until she breaks not just the glasses. Queenie also returned to using her squad of simps to threaten me. That's alright, me and Black Lady got this one sorted. Battle stances, everybody. It's gonna be over quick, don't worry. Eventually, after frightening her simps enough that they learned to stay away from me, she resorted to using the line, "My dad'll totally kick your ass," one day when Farmer Evan and I were hanging out in the lounge area. My dad'll kick your ass? Yeah, bring him down. I'd love to see it. It would be great to meet him and also question where everything went so fucking wrong. I responded with a long-winded plan to seduce her dad. Yeah, that's the direction you could go to. Convince him to divorce her mom so he could marry me and cut her out of the will and turn her entire family estate into a private casino resort where most vices are available for the right price. Yes, and that casino was called Gomorrah.
There's too much shit and despair at Gomorrah already.
I completed this theoretical scenario with the line, so depending on if your dad's a top or a bottom, that might determine if I'm your stepdad or evil stepmother. And I like that you're willing to switch it up, OP. For the right price, I mean. I'm sure you've got a preference. I'm not going to ask about it, it's fine. Queenie stormed off in a huff, while Farmer laughed hysterically and even Evan chuckled. Farmer asked out loud, I think she was trying to rub salt in the wound, if she and Evan were invited to the wedding, to which I said, yes, of course. The final conflicts I had with Queenie occurred after she acquired a SA whistle from somewhere. Probably a college class. Here, take this whistle. Don't forget to be scared all the time. Make sure to watch the fear box every day. At least do a few hours of doom scrolling. You've got to let your mind get to the point where it can no longer think of bigger ideas. You just spend your entire existence in fear, okay? That's what the whistle's good for. She would use this whistle at everyone, be it me, Farmer, Evan, anyone else who somehow pissed her off. It's sort of like the boy who cried wolf. She's not going to get SA'd at some point during this, is she? Like, it would be funny. She's blowing the whistle, and everybody's like, it's just Queenie. She does it all the time. But that's also really dark. Queenie would often blow the whistle just to get people to leave the common area, or even if said people were talking in her vicinity. How has she not just been, like, brutalized with a crowbar at some point? Do you really think you're the most sociopathic one on this campus? I guess you really do. You're really trying hard to prove that, but you might find out that that's not the case. And at that point, it might be too late. Maybe. I'm just saying, stranger stuff has happened. This went on for about 2 weeks, with the infernal whistle going off at all hours of the day and night. Until one early morning, when one of the RAs snapped. I and another guy were coming out of our rooms when Queenie saw us and began blowing that whistle. Out of nowhere, one of the RAs stormed out of her room, yanked the whistle off from around Queenie's neck. She screamed in Queenie's face, "This is not a fucking toy!" before storming outside in nothing but her pajamas with Queenie following behind her. I mean, a whistle is a toy. They put it in the Christmas crackers for children, don't they? But yes, at a certain point, the toy is not fun any longer. From what I heard, that RA threw the whistle down a storm drain, after which Queenie spent the better half of that morning trying to retrieve it to no avail. Damn, sucks to suck. This is how it's meant to be, obviously. Then the pandemic swept the globe and we all had to go home. Oh, anticlimactic. After this, life went on. Focused on my classes, hung out with my friends, became progressively more active on campus life, and graduated with high honors. After this, I never saw Queenie again. I have no idea where she is now, and I do not care. I mean, she's probably still out there rotting away somewhere, but at least now she has the good grace to rot in private. Don't make it everybody else's problem, okay? I honestly have nothing else to say about her, as I feel that I've expressed my disgust enough that I don't feel the need to even give her a mention in the epilogue. Well, good. Then I can make something up for her in the epilogue. When we get to her, here's the epilogue. Farmer now works in the Midwest at a job she loves and has even met a special someone. Honestly, Farmer sounds like base trad wife. I don't know what else you could want in this world. Hold on to that one real tight. That's something special. We do still stay in touch, on and off. Evan got married after graduation, with he and his wife just having their firstborn, last I heard. See? That's another argument for premarital, you know? Like, finally you get to do it and the dam is released and then you get to enjoy, like, maybe another couple months before pregnancies and morning sickness and then the baby's here and now you just never do it again. Or while the baby's asleep, I guess. Or you lure him out of the room with cookies and put something on the TV they like to watch and just hope that you can hump quietly enough that he's not gonna interrupt. I'm not speaking from experience or anything here, just that's whatever. If I ever meet that special someone, Farmer and Evan will be invited to the wedding. It's out there somewhere for you. Don't rush it. Pick the right one, that's what I say. The tall one did eventually get a girlfriend, and it was good to see him finally smile. As much as my interactions with him killed any chance of us being friends, I'm happy to see him happy. Me too, OP. I'm glad you didn't have to blast him in the ass. Prime Footstool got upset when Queenie got a boyfriend, and that caused the squad of simps to dissolve. Aww. Last I heard, he went down that incel rabbit hole. Oh boy. I hope he's able to one day find a way out before he does something completely unforgivable. Yeah, that's what lies at the bottom, isn't it? It's on that neckbeard iceberg that we did. At the end of the day, I still feel conflicted as to how I handled this situation, as there were some things that I probably could have done better. If I did indeed go too far, feel free to call me out on it. I mean, my bar for too far it's pretty high up there, man. You didn't physically attack anyone, there were no kids or animals involved, so yeah, not too far. It's fine. I'll even go so far as to say the threat of being blasted in the ass by OP caused a few of those lads to turn their lives around completely. Some final thoughts here. Writing these stories and sharing them have made me realize of just how not normal of a life I've lived. From my neckbeard/skinhead days to sober house to working in a variety of industries to the batshit insanity of many, many beards that I encountered in the wild, it is indeed mind-blowing. I sincerely hope that this is the last entry in the Roaming Rivers metaverse, as I really don't know how many beard encounters it takes to finally push someone into a permanent lockdown ward. Don't you worry, OP, that number it's in the thousands. Maybe a little less if you have eyes. I think witnessing the horror does a lot of psychic damage. This is just me rambling out my thoughts over the past few days after a coworker asked me, how the hell do you meet all these lunatics when sharing a tale from the movie theater days? I mean, if you go out and meet people, a large portion of those people will actually be lunatics. That's why I try not to make a habit of it. The wall is very high. We've had enough interaction for one lifetime. Thank you. Anyways, with all that, I hope you enjoyed the show. I look forward to seeing more beard tales from new writers on the channel, as they are indeed addicting. Peace. Edit, spacing, and grammar. Yeah, well, we need to get some new beard writers on the channel, you know? I've been doing them a disservice by wandering off into other subreddits, but I like to let them age a little bit. How else does a neckbeard story develop that stinky melange? It's definitely not an excuse for my own laziness, if that's what you're talking about. Don't even imply something like that. As far as Queenie goes, yes, surrounded by enablers, there's basically only two ways that her life could go, right? Either the enabling continues, and she becomes a Bridezilla mega Karen, or the enabling stops and her whole life collapses. She might pull herself out of that, but I don't know. When you've been used to certain things for so long, sometimes it's hard to learn how to do for yourself. Although, I figured it out, OP figured it out, maybe Queenie could figure it out. You know, it's never too late, really. Although I will say my hopes aren't that high. My hopes are high, however, that you will join up on the Patreon or the YouTube memberships if you'd like to continue supporting this channel. I do appreciate it. You can also check out the fourth wall. We got stuff over there. It's merch and lots of it. Maybe we'll add the Super AIDS and or Spine Powder necklaces over there shortly. Anything's possible. One in the chat if you want to see it. I'm for real right now. Or the comments, not the chat. What the hell? Haven't streamed on Twitch in forever, but my Twitch link's down there too. Okay, I'll stop plugging things. Thank you guys for watching, sincerely. I hope you enjoyed. If you didn't, oh well, too bad, can't take it back. I still want you to remember, friends, that you are loved, you are worthy, you definitely deserve it, and I shall see you on the next one. So until then, bye-bye.